Now, I would like to introduce Ms. Ninne Zahara, ASEAN Study Center, Universitas International Batam, Indonesia, to give us an opening remarks. Please welcome Ms. Ninne Zahara.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Martin, our moderator. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And we have all the speakers here to our honorables, Mr. Ahmed Sanoon from FrameOut Sri Lanka, and also we have Mr. Himanshu Panday from the Dignity in Difference India, and also Ms. Gelia Erika Esteban from the Prosecution Development, the Philippines. And also we have our partner, Ms. Nukila Evanty, from the Women Working Group. For today, welcome to our webinar on human rights, gender, and entrepreneurship with them empowering women in business. So I also welcome my students and also our the students from the Faculty of Law, either the law program, the bachelor program, and also the master program here. It is a great pleasure and anticipation that we gather here today to shed light on topic of paramount importance about human rights and about gender equality and also the entrepreneurship. So as we know, women are very encouraging and very useful in the development of the entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is not merely about the business ventures. Yeah, it's not about the big things. It's not always about the huge companies. Yeah, it can come from the micro business. It can also come from the small innovation, that supporting families, supporting kids. And it's also we need to take a lot of study regarding women entrepreneurship and its role to develop the economy of the world. And so gender equality, it's not only a moral imperative but also an economic imperative. Yeah, studies have consistently shown that empowering women economically yields a significant benefits, in our in every sector of our economy. So today we have a privilege to hearing from the diverse panel of the experts, activists, and also the maybe entrepreneur here if you are come as the panelist here. And I'm not the panelist, also the participant. Please give a share about your thoughts, especially about women and also the entrepreneurship. And gladly, we not only hear from women, we can also hear from men's perspective in this webinar today. So thank you for your attention. I'll give it back, holdings to the moderator, Mr. Martin. Back to you.
Right, thank you. Okay, now it is time for the first presentation from Ms. Gelia Erika Esteban. Please welcome Ms. Erika.
Okay. So what I would like to start my presentation in today's Human Rights and Gender Series 6 is through an expression of gratitude to the organizers for opening this opportunity to discuss a very interesting theme and raising awareness and interest in women entrepreneurship. Of course, I will be talking about women entrepreneurship in the context of the Philippines. So I'm actually familiar with this concept of women entrepreneurship from the legal and social welfare perspectives, having supported the Philippine government's programs on sustainable livelihood for impoverished households when I was in with the Department of Social Welfare and Development. I have actually transitioned my human rights practice to join an international non-governmental organization in December 2023. But I remain engaged in women empowerment, particularly in the rural communities, by addressing housing needs and economic empowerment. So I'm very hopeful that today's session would be very fruitful and full of exchange of information and insights about this interesting and timely theme. I understand that we have a lot of participants from other parts of the world. So I would like to give a brief background about my country, which is the Philippines. So the Philippines is an archipelago, strategically located in the political region called Southeast Asia. So it has a total water and land area of about 300,000 square kilometers. We are a democratic and republican state under our 1987 Philippine Constitution. Essentially, democratic and republican here are used interchangeably and they mean the same. So this country has a population of 109,035,343 based on our 2020 census. Okay, we used to be a very thriving community in economy in the Asian region, particularly in the 1980s. Well, now that is arguable because economists would say that there are other, thriving economies now in Asia. Especially during the coronavirus disease pandemic, our economy was greatly impacted, through due to slow economic activities and growth. But our government is saying that we are actually recovering post pandemic, and actually one of the most impacted economic sectors in during the pandemic is that of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Now, in the Philippines, these MSMEs are actually considered as lifeblood of the Philippine economy. That's by the Philippine News Agency because it comprises 99%, 99.52% of businesses in our country. Less than 1% is composed of the large companies, large businesses, large corporations. So usually, MSMEs are engaged in businesses like wholesale and retail trade, hospitality services, agriculture, because we are primarily an agricultural society, although we have been transitioning through industrially, arts and culture, and also manufacturing. So, in a study conducted by ADB in 2023, actually, um, this sector provides for 63% of the total employment in the Philippines. So you could just imagine the effect of the pandemic to several of our Filipino countrymen because of several MSMEs has gone out of business because of the pandemic. So yeah. So in the Philippines, there are actually many sources of law when it comes to regulating MSMEs. No, it's not a new thing in the Philippines. I myself, when I was younger, I used to sell desserts and peddle barbecues when I go to the province. So growing up, I used to be quote unquote entrepreneur myself. But it would be an entire history class to actually trace back the roots of um, entrepreneurship in the Philippines. No, but legal developments here in the Philippines have provided a framework for private enterprises to actually formalize or be formed or included in the formal economy, because before usually MSMEs are part of the informal economy, so they don't usually register, they don't have registrations, they don't have business permits. But through the passage of time and different laws, we see that there's development in formalization and legalization of their operations. And of course, together with this is the regulation of MSMEs. So talking about the legal framework on these enterprises, we always start with the fundamental 1987 Philippine Constitution. So this is the base document from which all um, to which all our statutes or laws should conform. Um, so, this is the basis for the establishment of our policies and principles, the exercise of our government powers, and the protection of the rights of our people. So, this constitution actually has incorporated several provisions consistent with the country's democratization in the late 1980s. So, Article 2, for instance, as you can see, it provides the various democratic principles and policies. It introduced the concept of a just and dynamic social order, social justice, and human rights in our legal and political framework. So, Section 14 of Article 2 also acknowledged the role of women in nation building and the fundamental equality before the law of men and women. So it's a great advance from previous constitutions of the Philippines. Also, Article 3 states the Bill of Rights, incorporating many of the human rights principles of international agreements. Article 12 focuses on policies on the national economy and patrimony, including the encouragement of private enterprises. So there are our laws actually balances the right of labor and the right of private enterprises. And Article 13, this introduced the new to Section 1 provides for a housing rights of the people and social justice. So those are just some of under our Philippine Constitution. Okay. So as a source of law also, we have what we call congressional statutes. So these statutes, uh, our DTI or our Department of Trade and Industry has noted that there are actually a lot of laws not tackling or dealing with private enterprises or entrepreneurship. However, I think the most important that we I would like to note is that we actually have a Magna Carta for small enterprises. Now we call them micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. That's why the term MSMEs. These MSMEs are business activities and enterprises engaged in industry, agribusiness, or services whose total assets must have value falling under the following categories. So as you can see, and as will be explained later on, there are threshold amounts to be considered as micro, small, and medium. And the requirements and certain benefits fall to these categories. Um, so we also implement Go Negosyo Act. Negosyo is Tagalog for business, which is the Republic Act 9644. So this actually established centers in cities and municipalities for MSMEs because it's very I think one of the challenges for MSMEs is with regards to market linkages because usually MSMEs are like passion projects or like started by their owners from scratch. So usually they don't really have a market to begin with, but they explore and try to, build this business from scratch. So usually this negosyo center serves as support for MSMEs to reach their intended additional functions, which I would like to note has incorporated or acknowledged. I think for me, it has acknowledged women entrepreneurship in our local legislation. So there's already a cap, no, but it their to their functions the conduct of research on women entrepreneurship and policy formulation on women entrepreneurship. So this includes training specialized for women entrepreneurs. And also, since the Philippines law system is a hybrid system, a lot of indigenous law systems, also local customs, civil law system, but also common law system, especially in trade and commercial transactions. We also follow some customary practices, no, when we are in enterprises. Yeah. And in the Philippines, we have a legal basis for this. It is in our laws that local customs are part of our legal system, so long as they are not, of course, contrary to law, public policy, and public order. So some of the things or approaches that was introduced includes categorization based on total assets. No, so usually in the Philippines, this is also a consideration whenever you register even big corporations or companies. Okay. So there is basically three categories: now micro enterprise, small enterprises, and medium enterprises. But we also have the concept of barangay micro and businesses. So as you can see, micro enterprises should have not more than 3 million. No, but barangay micro business enterprises doesn't really to register or get some permits that are required for micro enterprises. So we they just usually get a certificate now that they have a particular this total asset. I think it's now based on 50,000 and below, 50,000 pesos and below. So barangay micro business enterprises. Opportunities and assistance, since actually private enterprises or MSMEs in the Philippines are not really, it's sad that it's not really created usually for creative innovation, unlike in certain countries like South Korea or elsewhere where technology is really booming, wherein you're actually pursuing a creative innovation. In the Philippines, some MSMEs are created, as replacement to the traditional, also to sustain the operations, especially during the pandemic, wherein some MSMEs actually suffered, and some. So the Department of Trade and Industry, they provide some startup funds. So they have special fundings that are established by law. For the DSWD entity, my former employment, we have what we call a sustainable livelihood project or program. So this program reaches out to families or household from low poverty threshold. So usually those that are impoverished families, and this is usually in tandem with other social welfare or poverty alleviation projects. And then for the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, which TOES for stands for establishing soap store or something, other skills that you can use to establish your own enterprise. And then, as I've said a while ago, negosio centers, this provides so ease in registration, access to services, and and building a local support networks and market linkages, and establishing data banks of the various MSMEs. I think that's one of the important things. MSMEs are ancestors to the existing business in the Philippines. So this approach actually aims to simplify, proper business permits and licensing in the Philippines. Imagine establishing a micro business and waiting like 3 or how many months before you can operation get into operation, right? So now the timeline for actions in the government actions, especially for this business permits and licenses, are 3 days, 7 days, 20 days, depending on the complex action. And as I've said a while ago, or the Go Negotiate Act also introduced mechanisms to empower women entrepreneurs, because the Department of Trade and Industry actually acknowledged that the majority of the MSMEs are led or owned either partially or entirely by women in our country, which is a great thing, really, because women are, usually women are traditionally, not economically empowered. But as I've said, their participation into creative innovation are very limited, because as traditionally patriarchal country, of course, women here have also, are expected to perform gender roles. And usually, when you talk about like micro businesses here in the Philippines, it's usually attached in the family home. So we have what we call sari-sari stores. So these are like small grocery stores where you buy like small amounts of retail amounts, no. And since mothers are usually at home, they cannot place their business outside of their, away from their home. So this limits them also. So in understanding the entrepreneurial behavior barriers and participation rates women, this law actually is a big leap forward to empowering women entrepreneurs. Okay, yeah. Women-led enterprises have a high industry share in the Philippines. Meaning women are leading a lot of MSMEs, specifically in retail and wholesale trade. No, arts and culture also. But there is still a big gap when you talk about company size, capital and investment, for instance, because there's a stark gap between men and women in sense. So, meaning usually women-led enterprises are small, still much smaller than those that are led by primarily because women, since their businesses are usually attached to their roles at home and not go, far away from their homes, they don't usually have access to finances. They don't usually have good history, are not really confident to loan funds to them. No, and usually they also don't have the net support network that men are able to get because of this so during the pandemic also, several women-led enterprises were impacted and they had to close down. uh, yeah, change in terms of relationships, it was in one study by Lazada. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lazada. Lazada is a digital platform where you can buy and sell goods. So in the Philippines, Lazada's online sellers are mostly women, but because usually they don't have the expertise or the training be to enable digital transformation, like cashless payments and all those things, it becomes a barrier to sustain, uh, and also limited networking and information, especially. So I think that there are necessary supports that women entrepreneurs need. Like, for instance, they should accessible sources of financing. They should be primarily beneficiaries of capacity building programs, uh, digital transformation, especially now in the Philippines. Cashless payments are being a trend now. Online selling is a trend now, and you know there is an increasing global competitiveness when it comes to online selling. So and as I've said a while ago, usually creative innovation is not part of the motives of women entering in this line of business. But I think there should also be some opportunities for them to do so. And of course, participation in policy making, because women participation is really essential in policy making. Okay, so that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Erika Esteban, for this amazing presentation. Now, it is time for the second presentation from Mr. Himanshu Panday. Please welcome Mr. Himanshu.
Thank you so much, Arko. And thank you, Professor Rina, for inviting me. And it's lovely to see so many. Hi. Uh, so, yes, I am Himanshu. And unlike all of the presentations, I don't have a PPT. I'm going to speak a bit, and then we are going to dive a bit more into the kind of work that I do. I am a digital anthropologist. Any of you know what does that mean? Okay, maybe another question. Okay, for a second thought experiment, imagine someone who is really famous in the internet gaming community. So this person is a really big shot in an internet game. They're so famous that in that internet game there is a character behind it. Stream those games online. They have a community of 1 million people who follow them. And what when you think of this person, what do you imagine this person? What is the color of their skin? What is the uh, what would be their age? What do you think they would be doing in their daytime? Any of you want to put some wild guesses to a person who is very famous in internet gaming? Uh, what could be which part of the world they would come from? How old do you think they would be? Any ideas? I know this is afternoon session. Everybody had their lunches. Must be a bit drowsy. But when you think of this person, what comes to your mind? Thank you, Hamid. White man, most in the US. Yes, gaming community. What could be their age? Any of you, senior? Thank you, Nukila. Thank you, Tirtha. So, yep, you think it would be a white man somewhere sitting in some part of global north, 20s, early 30s. But this is an 85-year-old woman who is recovering from a full body paralysis. Is very famous in gaming communities, and we didn't know a lot about it unless our online and we are in person is very different reality. If for a second, if you think of if there are people in your life that have never met you and have always known you through your Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or whatever is it that you are on, what person do you think that they would imagine you to be? Right? We all like this fun person on Instagram, maybe you're eating for this life more than right. But we all have an online personas, and we make sense of through the kind of persona that we live in those communities. So, as a digital anthropologist, I try to understand digital culture, how people make sense of them, and who they are in them. And with dignity and difference, we build a lot of tools, technologies, leading to algorithmic justice, looking at online hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation. I'm going to browse you through one particular platform that we have built for women who face a lot of online hate. But before that, if you really think artificial intelligence, and that's a lot of might be using GPT. How many of you do use ChatGPT? I don't want to assume. Big fan. But the funny thing is that a lot of technologies are being built by the data set for the people of global north. These are English speaking nations, and a lot of the particular data set that goes into evaluating or building these AI models, AI techniques come from global north. That means that global south, all the countries that most of us probably come from, in the languages that we speak, all of them are being left behind. And this specifically leaves women. And how is something that we'll talk about. Let me just share my screen. Share one of the platforms that we built in collaboration with the Live Center. This platform is called and fetches all the recent conversations from those videos. So, for example, this video is why women outperform men in education. So this is uh, probably talk. So at the background, this particular platform fetches recent conversations that have taken place on this video and then try to rate them on 8 different parameters using a lot of AI classifiers that we have put at the background. So this is toxicity, severe toxicity, identity attack, insult, profanity, threat, flirtation. And turns out to be there have been a lot of toxic comments on that video. So if I really want to search for it, so someone has said, as a woman, I hate feminism. It's creating more problems than it has solved. This guy thinks Wiz is not keeping up. And someone, for example, look at the comment, right? Women cannot teach men and wise. So when people create content online that talks about gender equality, a lot of them do face hate speech. And technology has no way to know. So social media companies have no way to regulate them too, because you're talking about millions of rows of content every minute. So this allows us to look at, for example, this one. The technology hasn't really identified it as toxic. So it allows the content creators to come on this particular platform and change what they think the ratings for these particular comments to be. And it helps us. We work closely with tech companies in changing and looking at where their algorithms fail. The survivors, the content creators could also then work with us by providing their details uh, and then deciding who has access to these data sets. They also get supported by tools, but they can also create something called counter speech. So you can choose a persona that you want the help from. For example, I'm taking a comedian and then using this comment to just generate, using AI, we are generating the responses for these hate comments and seeing where is it that it fails and what is it that they work on. And it takes some good time to do that. So what's happening at the background is that we are able to, yep. So what it does is it tells you what's the problem with those hate comments. It then tells you how to respond to them. And then it also create a particular response to that comment. And then you can let us know whether that works or not, or there's something that we can improve about it, which goes back to the platform. And this is one of the examples, and I'll just stop sharing now. So this is one of the examples in which how women can take a lead in building an algorithmic just world. AI is coming to our lives, or for better or worse, or in whatever ways it is coming. But it is systematically leaving women and people from global south behind. Could there be a lot of opportunities for women to participate in these conversations and take a lead in influencing how these decisions are taking place, whether it is in the form of entrepreneurship or working on this intersection of technology and human rights, or whether in terms of seeking accountability from these technology platforms, like some of the things that we have been doing. And just starting just tech companies. So putting AI in the context of where we come from and making sure it's contextual, localized, and trained on the data sets that we have formed. that belong to our communities and to our people. So, yep, that was a brief presentation. If you have questions, if you have comments, you can connect with us, Dignity and Difference, all across different platforms. You can also connect to me on LinkedIn. Himanshu Panday is the name. And looking forward to uh, anything that you have in your mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Himanshu Pandey, for this amazing presentation. Now, it is time for Mr. Ahmed Sanoon Mira Muhyiddin to give us the third presentation.
Okay, thank you, Arko, for your kind introductions about me, and I just want to give you a background of context of entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka, so it will be easy for all of you to understand it better way. So everyone know about entrepreneurship, how it's process and developing and everything. So I don't want to go into deeper in this topic. So, however, gender equality and human rights are the fundamentals to create jobs and increase incomes, innovations, and to address social problems. So which will help to human rights and gender equality in a whole manner. So that's the main idea of my presentation and how this uh, affected in Sri Lankan context. It's a bit tricky. So we can go into deeper in this section. This is the girl, I put it in the presentation, is Otara. She is one of the pioneer entrepreneur in Sri Lanka, which is called there's a big market chain in Sri Lanka. It's called Odell. So she is founder and she is a good entrepreneur in Sri Lankan context. So I just want to mention her name here so everyone can understand. Also, she's kind of a widow, and she became an entrepreneur after that. So she faced a lot of struggles and overcome those struggles and came to these positions. She is one of the Sri Lanka's richest person in the recent times. So I can go to next slides. This is about Sri Lankan context. It's kind of a Sri Lanka has experienced a decade of civil war, as you all know. We have ethnic conflict, and we are still trying to recover from the post-war situations and all. Still, we are talking about these buildings, still talking about transitional justice, DJ, and other things. At the same time, there are multiple discriminations, violence happen in education, health, employment, political participation, and as well as in the justice side. So it's really environmentally, it's very bad in for the entrepreneurship. Not only entrepreneurship, but other people also it's suffering from this. So the entrepreneurs also suffering a bit higher in this manner, and gender equality and human rights are the main areas we have to consider in this suffering. So in these situations, we have to find how we can empower women and girls to promote inclusion and diversity to address the root causes and consequences of these issues. So it's kind of we can get the context of Sri Lanka, so then we can get the idea about the Sri Lankan context and we can identify the challenges and how we can overcome those challenges in a later slide. So Sri Lanka is a South Asian country with a population of 21 million people and per capita income about USD $4,000. So 4,000 American dollars. So there are, this is in Sri Lanka, it's kind of a middle income, upper level middle income country classified by the World Bank, but still we are like in the upper middle income in a low level range. So there are so many challenges in terms of social cohesion, environment and sustainability and governance side also. So there are so many issues on gender perspective also. So when you're considering the political sphere or whatever in the labor force, there are low participations of women representative. Whenever like in a political sphere, I think the only one minister, one cabinet minister representing the whole cabinet. It's cabinet about 35 people here. So only one woman representing in the political arena, it's as a cabinet minister. So that's also there. So there are so many gender-based violence reported, and especially the domestic violence, sexual harassment, rapes, and other things also. So there are so many like discriminations to women entrepreneurs to get a land, credit, and technology, to access to technology, and to get it to that point. So there are so many like the marginalized communities, like it happened in the discrimination side, it's religious side, minorities. It's a minority size as the Muslims, Tamils, and other areas, the LGBTQ people and everyone. So it's kind of, there are a lot of discriminations in the justice way and justice side and other sides also in the hearings and all other things. So why we need gender equality? It's a really important question in this time, and I'm like looking into in a global perspective and Sri Lankan perspective. So there are so many opportunities to get a like a smart economic and social policy, uh, how we can contribute as a man and woman in this arena. However, like this gender equality will helpful for the not only the individuals but also families, communities, and societies. So it will like enhance our human capabilities and also the productivity and efficiency and innovation side. So it's kind of a in a like in a last thing we can see the improving governance and democracy and peace building. It's kind of a, if we like make this as a sustainable manner, it will help us to like improve our lifestyles and everyone the families, the lifestyles, and the economic side also. So it's kind of a holistic approach of how we can improve our life through the gender equality thing. In Sri Lankan context, you can see that I made some statistics here. It's a gender gap in labor force participation is 26.4 percentage point, with only 36.6% of women aged 15 and above being employed or looking for work compared to 63% of men. This is alarming situations in Sri Lanka. It's kind of we need more work to uh, start like to keep the uh, gender equality in Sri Lanka. The gender-based gap is also 16.3% with women earning in average healthcare 41,624 per month, while uh, the men earn healthcare 49,798. You can see the difference between the male and female uh, workers here for the same positions, how they paid uh, in the labor market. So the gender gap in entrepreneurship is 19.6 percentage point with only 25.9% of the women owning or managing a business compared to 45.5% of men. So you can consider it's almost half uh, of the populations uh, accommodated by men. Other than that, the gender gap in political representatives is 18.9% point with only 5.3% of women holding seats in the national parliament compared to 24.2% of men. So recently they introduced one uh, state one act or law in the local council elections, and they trying to get 25% women quota for uh, local councils members. So it's kind of a helpful for to become a political arena. Uh, it's kind of a give them a space in the local government bodies and how they can contribute in a decision making in the local government level. So that's also kind of empowerment for the women in a political arena, but still we need to go more in the provincial level and national level political space. Uh, the prevalence of gender-based violence is 35% with 1 in 3 women experiencing physical or sexual violence in their lifetime, mostly by their intimate partner. It's kind of a these statistics came from the United Nations Population Fund, which is they conducted in 2019. So the gender-based violence also bit alarming in Sri Lankan context. So we can see entrepreneurship as a catalyst for change in this manner. So there are how we can the women and men can help to take entrepreneurship as a catalyst of change to addressing uh, the human rights issues and gender equality, how they can improve the gender equality through the entrepreneurship. It's kind of a cross-cutting theme when we considering the entrepreneurship. So if we uh, if we consider entrepreneurship as a cross-cutting theme, then we can include the human rights aspect and gender equality aspect. Yeah. So it's really helpful for them to for the entrepreneurship to identify the gaps and how they can fill on that gaps. So through the entrepreneurship, I think the empowering women and girls they can become a change leaders and decision makers in their communities. So they can uh, improve their lifestyles. They can empower uh, through the economic wise and other decision making thinking and skills. So also we can identify the root causes for the social problems such as poverty, health, education, environment, and etc. So there are we can identify the gap in the some kind of gender-based violence in a family side. It's really important to address this in this manner. So at the same time, as an entrepreneur, so we can create a platform for innovations, and we can create competitiveness, and they can think beyond the borders, and how they can get the solutions to social problems, and how they can implement, and how the people can identify solutions, and how they can implement its bit good. So we can identify the social problems, and we can get the solution for that social issues through the entrepreneurship. That's also there. So other than that, the marginalized community also get benefit from the entrepreneurship without discriminations, and uh, then they can promote social inclusions and cohesions in their spaces, in their communities. So those are the main areas we can see as an entrepreneurship, but it's not limited here. But there are so many opportunities how they can as an entrepreneur, uh, how they can struggle, and how they can improve their lifestyles. And there are so many opportunities there. However, how we can address it's very important. So entrepreneurs, it's kind of a tool to struggle all take this to address this all the issues in a one manner. Uh, I'm not saying entrepreneurship is the uh, whole idea to start to address all the issues, but still the entrepreneurship we can take as a one tool, and we can use uh, to address the human rights issues, and gender equality issues, how we can overcome those things. Uh, Again, that I just want to share three experience with you. Like uh, there are three women here: the Ramesh, Anusa, Ramya Veerappan, and Lakshmi. Ramesh Anusa she came from the northern part of Sri Lanka, which is affected by the uh, war, and she she is a single mother who runs a grocery shop in Manna, a post-war area in the northern province. Manna is part of uh, affected village in the uh, civil war. So she participated in a project with UN, UNICEF, and UNFPA. They provided entrepreneurship training and equipped to women affected by violence. Uh, After that, she learn about how to rate and save and manage a business, and become more independent entrepreneur in the community. So she is kind of inspiration for women in that area. How she managed to get out of most of the things in economical wise, and how she integrated with uh, society. Other than that, the Ramya Veerappan, she is a founder and chairperson of Ramya Holdings Limited. It's operates sectors such as apparel, hospitality, agriculture, renewable energy. Uh, she is also a member of several organizations and associations that promote women entrepreneurship and empowerment. Still, she is one of the leading figure in Sri Lanka. She is kind of a role model for young entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka. The Lakshmini Vijay Sundara, she is a co-founder and CEO of Iron Man Technologies and both PhD. Uh, it's kind of that the company provides a software solution for enterprise mobility and board governance. Uh, he is also received several awards and recognition for her achievement in innovation in the IT industry. So these three are like from the different sectors. One is from the SMEs, like small medium enterprise. The one is from the uh, big enterprises, and another one is from the IT industry. So there are they made some changes in the community, and they create like space for women in their entrepreneurship space in Sri Lanka, and they feel like inspiring other women in the Sri Lankan context. Other than that, I just want to like get into next topic. It's kind of a inclusive business practices, how we can include create the inclusive business practices in a large level organization like uh, mass holding, same dialectic theater, so many others. But these three are like they already like took some steps to uh, create these inclusive spaces for people, uh, especially for young women and uh, people with the minority and differently able people and all other. So they are promoting gender equality and human rights in their workplaces. The Mars Holdings, leading apparel manufacturer and exporter, maybe you guys know about it because they are kind of a global organization, global uh, market. So they implement various initiatives to support predominantly female workforce, such as providing childcare facilities, health services, training programs, and career development opportunities, especially for female workforce. And they are providing some special care for women when they uh, need some special requirements. Other than that, I can move to Dialog of Theatre. Dialog of Theatre is a leading telecommunication company in Sri Lanka, which has launched various products and services to uh, cater to needs and children from diverse customers. Uh, is kind of a they recently started the mobile money, e-learning, e-health, and digital inclusion site also. They are the telecom partner uh, in Sri Lanka with their largest network in Sri Lanka with the dial-up network. So they also kind of providing digital inclusions. They are trying to like introduce some more in the future, I think. So other than that, the Hamas Holdings are diversified conglomerate which first established a corporate sustainability framework that aligns with the UN Sustainable Development Goal, UN SDGs, and UN Global Compact. And they mostly covering human rights and labor standards and environmental protection. So uh, they also introduced some facilities for women uh, for the child care facilities and health services, and they introduced some special programs for young women who are in the field. So they also like providing some spaces for women entrepreneurs who can have some kind of innovative ideas. They are like supporting to uh, implement those ideas in a community level, which can help to like tackle community issues. Uh, those are the like experiences and some sharings, case study sharings, if you want. We can see other than that there are so many like help in the government and NGO initiative, but still like we can identify some here, but still we have to go beyond these initiatives, and we have to identify the ways how we can help to entrepreneurship, especially in the women entrepreneurship in the country. Uh, the government of Sri Lanka has taken some kind of steps to support gender equality and entrepreneurship, such as one is kind of a, I put it, one is a uh, national policy on women entrepreneurship development in 2018 that enabled the environment for women entrepreneurship to address the challenges they face. And also the in 2018, Sri Lanka Enterprise Sri Lanka initiative, and they give loans and grants to entrepreneurship, especially women and youth and persons with disabilities. Other than that, the Women Chamber of Commerce, Chamber of Industry and Commerce, established in 1985, which promotes women economic empowerment in the country. Other than that, there are so many NGOs, so many organizations, community organizations working for uh, women empowerment through the entrepreneurship development. So, such as like UN Women, Chrysalis, Women in Management, they are like giving platform for young entrepreneurship, not only young, especially women entrepreneurship in the country. Especially women in management, they are like giving a platform to like recognizing uh, women entrepreneurship in the national context. So they uh, annually, they are like conducting some kind of recognition programs in a large level, and they are giving uh, some kind of recognition to women who are in the entrepreneurship field. Other than that, we can move to challenges and solutions. The lack of there are lack of awareness, knowledge, and skills among women and girls about entrepreneurship and benefits. And other than that, the social and cultural norms are like very tricky in Sri Lanka. It's we have a different kind of cultures in a community level with Muslims. They have a different cultures, and Tamil they have a different cultures, and Sinhalese they have a different cultures. Also, the indigenous community they also have a different culture. So these cultural norms and social behaviors, uh, there are some limitations for uh, women entrepreneurship development in this country. And the legal and institutional barriers, these also give, we need to give some kind of justice and protections to them through the legal side. So there are so many the financial and technical constraints which affect the women to start their business and sustain their businesses in Sri Lanka. It's also one kind of area we need to like give support to young entrepreneurships in Sri Lanka, especially in the women's side. They are facing so many struggles to like fight with men-dominated industry. So, however, like we can give some more provide more education and information campaigns to raise awareness and interest among women and girls about entrepreneurship and its opportunities. It's kind of a awakening program for them to like identify the opportunities for the entrepreneurship. So other than that, the engaging men and boys also necessary, and we have to have a dialogue with them and promote gender equality and how we can challenge the harmful gender norms and stereotypes. It's very important in a Sri Lankan context. And also the facilitating more access and linkage to financial and technical support for women entrepreneurship through the loans, maybe grants, training, mentoring, maybe in the net from the collaborations like networking opportunities with other uh, stakeholders and entrepreneurs. Uh, So other than that, we also need to have more collaborations with the NGOs, government, and we need to have a platform for sharing their best practices and resources and experiences in the entrepreneurship side. So there are so many opportunities for collaborations in Sri Lankan state. So we have to create more conducive and support ecosystem for entrepreneurship development and innovations. Also leveraging the competitive advantage and complementary of each sector and stakeholder, and maximize the outreach and scalability of entrepreneurship initiative and solutions. There are so many uh, women entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. Uh, it, it's in the low level. It's in the not in the medium level. It's the small level. So we have to give them a chance to uh, get out of it, and we need to give more support to become a medium enterprises and large enterprises. So we can give more training, more knowledge, and more skills to them to act as a change agents, and need to empower them to become a next level. So other than that, from the women side also, women entrepreneurship side also, so we have to consider they have to support and celebrating the achievement of women entrepreneurship and their ventures, and we need to provide feedback and suggestions to improve the quality of the products and services offered by entrepreneurs. Other than that, we need to create or uh, joining or forming a network and communities of practice, exchange ideas, experience, as I said earlier. So we need to give that opportunity with other entrepreneurs and stakeholders to engage with them and how they can uh, get their support in a proper way. So other than that, we need to advocate for more policies and programs that promote gender equality and human rights in the entrepreneurship sector. Um, and also we need to explore the own entrepreneurial aspirations and potential. So it's also necessary to understand their potentials and how we can support to achieve that aspiration. Other than that, the increasing the future outlook is the future outlook for entrepreneurship in advancing gender equality and human rights in Sri Lanka is promising. Uh, Still, we have some kind of opportunities, but we have to leverage those things for the future. We have a increased demand and preference for socially and environmentally responsible products and services among consumers and investors, and so growing availability and affordability of digital and green technologies and innovations that can engage efficiency and effectiveness in the entrepreneurship side. And also we can expand and diversify market and niches that can cater the needs and preference of different segments and group of customers. Also, we have a space in digital space, IT, BPO sector businesses, and all. So we have so many opportunities, and we need uh, more entrepreneurs, more, especially in the women sector, and we need to give more skills to them. We need to give more support to them in a legal wise. It need to be a holistic approach that we need to give more support in each and every manner to them. So it's really uh, we need to give inspiring examples and role models for the women entrepreneurship and leaders, not only from the women side, it's also from the men who uh, got in their field, excel in their field. So we need to learn from others, and we need to give that opportunity for women entrepreneurs, and we need to empower them in a proper way. So thank you for everyone. It's kind of end of my presentations, and if you have any questions or anything, just post it to me, so I can try to answer.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sanoon, for this amazing presentation. Mr. Sanoon talk about gender inequality in Sri Lanka. Also, entrepreneurship as a catalyst, women-led enterprises, and challenges and solutions. Thank you very much, Mr. Sanoon. Now, fourth and last presentation is from Professor Rena Sheshrula, but due to some reasons, she's not here. So we move on to questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have questions. I would like to raise hands first. Thank you, Mr. Martin, for the chance for me to start the Q&A sessions. So I have put the questions inside the chat box. I will have general questions for the three panelists today. And in the question is, in most developing states, women entrepreneur mostly focusing on the domestic and it's a classic sector of business like food business, clothes business, or things that related to women and family as well. And my question is, does your country or your program has chance to develop women entrepreneur in broader sector? Yeah, I heard some from the technology, but maybe the in the micro, small and medium sector, like, is there any other sector that can be enhanced for the women? Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Erika. Miss Ninne.
Okay. Is the speaker want like to answer
Hello?
directly? Want to answer directly? Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, so I think in the case of the Philippines, it would be difficult for MSMEs to venture into like technology, because that would require a lot of investment and capital, and sometimes MSMEs here, uh, especially those run by women, would have no or limited access to those resources. But I think it's not impossible, actually, if you have the right like information and network to leverage on. So I think that's why the government is also pursuing you know um, those interventions for women entrepreneurs for uh, in uh, um, in MSMEs. And there is diversity even in MSMEs in the Philippines. So you can find women entrepreneurs in manufacturing also, logistics, storage services, real estate, professional technical activities. There are also women entrepreneurs in agriculture. Yes, and yeah, like you've said, there are many in wholesale and retail trades and accommodation and other services. So I think there's much diversity, at least in the Philippines, even for MSMEs.
Thank you, Miss Esteban, for the answer. Maybe from the others, or we shall continue to the other questions.
All right. Thank you, Miss Nukila. This question is from Asayinok, a student in UIB. His question is directed to Ms. Erika Esteban. In what ways can banks be encouraged to support women in business with loans and other supports?
Okay, very interesting. Thank you for that question, Asay Inok. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. I think the answer to this question is basically dependent also on like the regulatory context of the banking industry, because essentially, like in business, because banking is business, so in business, choosing a client is like a management prerogative, no? But in the Philippines, for instance, uh, our banking and financial system is highly regulated by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or our central bank. So there can be, or there has been, mechanisms to actually encourage or even mandate them to extend loans to MSMEs. So I think you should check your policies, check the laws if they allow for that. For instance, in our laws, we have what we call mandatory allocation of credit resources to MSMEs. So generally, banks for a certain period is required to set aside a certain percentage. I think it's at least 8% for micro and small businesses, and at least 2% for medium enterprises, no? So that's one, that's actually mandatory. So that's one form of interventions. There can also be incentives, like for instance in information sharing, because sometimes it's not because banks don't want to loan to MSMEs, but it's just they don't have the right information. Where can they reach this MSMEs? So if that's the case, I think it can be also an incentive for them to have a mechanism for information sharing or credit sharing, so that it won't be too difficult for them to do their background investigations whenever there are applicants to their loans or other services. So also, personally, I think MSMEs have more flexibility in choosing their potential sources of financing nowadays. So it's not only banks that can provide them with the finances. No, we can have non-bank financial institutions. In the Philippines, we have now digital banks offering lesser, loans for lesser requirements and something like that. Or sometimes you can also go to get financial assistance from government programs and the like. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Next question is from Charity. No, Christy. Christy, students in University International Batam to Mr. Sanoon. The question is regarding to the implementation of human rights in Sri Lanka. She would like to know if the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, provide any support that could increase human rights standard in the country. And so far, any achievement that had a positive impact on women in the workforce, especially.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay, yeah. So in the context of SDG, SDGs are kind of a like baseline, base things built on the human rights aspects. So it's all like every SDGs, the 17 SDGs are like uh, built on like human rights aspects. It's kind of a, we need to really like see the human rights factor in every sector. Is kind of a, when you like consider the education or healthcare or uh, climate change, whatever it is, it's built on human rights. So in the Sri Lankan context, it's kind of a, there are some progress in in its efforts to achieve gender equality. Uh, there are, but still like there are some kind of structural barriers and social norms that perpetuate the gender stereotypes. However, by we have to like still need to done to ensure that every person has a equal access to education, healthcare, decent works, and life free from the discriminations and abuse, and to ensure representations in the political and economical decision making. So still we need to go far to achieve these things. However, there are some kind of achievements uh, happened, or there are some positive impact happened in Sri Lanka, which, as I mentioned earlier, we adopted the National Policy on Women Entrepreneurship Development in 2018, and we created some kind of a platform for young people, women, and person with disabilities to create a space, create a platform to get the grants and loans through the Enterprise Sri Lanka program. And we have some kind of a support systems in a Women Chamber of Industry and Commerce to empower women economic conditions and apprenticeship. There are some more initiatives identified by the UNDP and other partners for the to support the women participation in the decision making, which is kind of we got it in the local government act. We get 25% portions for women participations in the local level decision making. So it's kind of uh, addressing the challenges we face, but still in Sri Lankan context, we need to go far and we need to work together to achieve more and more to help to human rights, and through that human rights, we can achieve SDGs. So SDGs are based on grounded in human rights. So we need to work for the human rights, and with it's the human rights, it's bit related to gender equality and everything. So we need to work on that. Still, I'm on that questions. Yeah. I hope I answered your questions, Christy.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, next question is from Mr. M. Arif Rehadi. His question is directed to Mr. Sanu Muhyiddin. The question is, if gender equality has not been achieved in Sri Lanka, how does the Sri Lanka government address gender equality issues, and do they legislate equality for their citizens regardless of gender? Please, Mr. Sanu.
Yeah. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. For me, it's in my context, in a Sri Lankan context, we need to. There are many steps have been taken in legal spaces to give some priorities uh, to ensure the gender equality in every sector. However, there are so many things need to be done from the government side and civil society side. We have some kind of different perspective from the social manner, social barriers. We have some social barriers in different since we have a different kind of social background in each and every areas. So we need to work together to achieve the gender uh, inequalities in the community level. It's we can't say we need so many laws and acts to overcome those issues, but still we need to work from the community level, and how we can get the community support, how we can create awareness. It's really important to overcome the inequality in a gender side. So uh, we have so many laws and acts in written side, but still we are trying to implement its bit tricky and it's very challenging in a Sri Lankan context. We need to give priority to how we can implement those acts and laws in the Sri Lankan uh, people. We have to treat everyone in an equal manner, and we have to treat every man and woman in an equal manner. It's really important. So it's also important to treat minorities in the same manner how we treat majorities in the country. So we have some laws and acts, but still we are far behind to implement uh, in that good manner. So I think as a civil societies and stakeholders, other stakeholders uh, private sectors and community workers, we need to work together to achieve these goals and uh, to uh, create an environment to like uh, we need to uh, improve our uh, gender equality in our community settings.
Thank you, Mr. Sanoon. The next question is from Miss Belinda to Miss Erica. The question is, gender has been a crucial topic in Asia, which they tell about what women should and shouldn't do. And it also applies to men. So her question is, what is the point of view of Philippines for women are way more successful than men? Is there any crucial gap concern for that case? And what kind of business that Philippine woman had the most? And for the government, what kind of cooperative relation that government held between women, entrepreneur, and government? Hello, Miss Erika.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to success rate of women, I think the Philippines has greatly developed when it comes to that. In different careers in general. And usually in a study conducted by ATB in 2023, women entrepreneurs in MSME usually engage in wholesale or retail trade, but they also engage in other areas. Those areas that I've mentioned a while ago, like accommodation, food services, technology, and many more. And for the government, there are financial assistance actually that the government provides. I've mentioned this in my presentation. For instance, they support those who would like to venture into businesses but do not have the required seed capital. They provide it through the program Sustainable Livelihood Program of the DSWD. And also, there are special funds allocated for those who would want to engage in micro, small, and medium sized enterprises. So, those interventions, aside from the mandatory allocation of credit resources, those actually are part of the government programs. And I think they also have capacity building for women entrepreneurs in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. The next question is from Miss Revana Nur Amalia from University International Batam to Mr. Himanshu Panday. The question is, will the use of voice VELA have an impact on the algorithm of age users and age victims, where the users order content to avoid those group of people who have sent bad comments? Thank you. Please, Mr. Himanshu.
Thank you. I guess one of the biggest challenges that we were trying to focus on while building this tool uh, is that our partnership with Google was essentially about looking at it from the perspective of platforms trying to ensure that there is no hate speech against women on their platform. So a lot of this is grounded in it's very difficult to regulate or try to work around individual behavior, but platforms also do not have the capability to block that kind of misogyny or online violence, gender-based violence against women at the level of algorithms. So most of our approaches were essentially about working with structural actors, so tech companies, policymakers, uh, to ensure that the platforms have the tools and necessary cultural knowledge to ensure that doesn't happen. So rather than imposing it on individual users, platforms itself could eradicate that on a large scale. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Himanshu. All right, it is time for closing remarks and announcements by Ms. Nukila Evanty. Please welcome Ms. Nukila Evanty. Hello.
Thank you, Arko.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Uh, I would like to convey I'm so happy with this session because we discuss a lot about uh, the economic side of to strengthen entrepreneurship with the human rights and gender approach, as well as challenge from our international expert panelists. Some of they are my friend from active course in Salzburg, Austria. So I want to highlight that women business and entrepreneurs constituting nearly half of small and medium and big enterprise owners, right? They play a pivotal role in particular in Asia, economic resilience and recovery. However, they often face hurdles such as limited financial knowledge, and then patriarchal culture, property ownership, networking opportunities, mobility constraints due to household responsibility, and they dependent on their spouses, their family for decision making. Moreover, we heard from Himanshu, for instance, regarding challenge on gender equality in technology. And then from Gelia Erika, we heard the issues regarding the challenge on women and small and medium enterprises. We heard from Sanoon the challenge regarding social and cultural norms, challenge for women in Sri Lanka. So I will conclude that therefore it needs regulatory reform to increase women in business, and then to give them capacity building on technology, support for women entrepreneur, mainstreaming gender equality in business, eradicating of the patriarchal misogynist culture, and support from other businesses such as bank and financial institutions. So I think that's all of my concluding remarks. And I would like to thank for all outstanding finalists. And we love to hear from you as well from the our next webinar, right, on gender and human rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nukila Evanty.
And thank you for all the panelists that already participated in this webinar. I hope your insights and your knowledges will help to support the human rights series and our research regarding the gender issues. Thank you once again, and goodbye. See you again.